You gave everything. Every ounce of your trust, every late night, every cracked moment of silence, you were all in. And still you found yourself standing alone, the fire you built with loyalty reduced to ashes beneath your feet. She didn't want what you carried. She wanted something different, something lighter maybe, or darker. Loyalty isn't a contract inked in blood, it turns out. It's not the shield that guarantees you a place beside her when the wolves come calling. You thought your steady heart was enough to be chosen, but the truth settles cold and hard. Loyalty binds the captive, but betrayal shakes the cage until it breaks open. It's a brutal paradox, being the anchor and sinking anyway. You carry the weight of every promise kept, every slight overlooked, and then you're left asking why the man who never faltered was never the man she stayed for. In the endless quiet that follows, your mind races, tracing the jagged edges of every scar. You wanted understanding. You craved clarity. Instead, you got the sharp sting of silence and the gnawing realization that freedom doesn't come from holding on. Freedom lives with the wolves roaming the wilderness, untethered, wild, untouched by another's need. Loyalty only ever protects what's already yours. Betrayal burns what it finds unguarded. You're not meant to be chained to a promise that someone else made or broke. Stand now among the ruins not as a victim, but as a man who knows the difference between loyalty held and loyalty owed. Because some battles aren't won in the fire, but in the distance you keep afterward. The fire stops where the wolf begins. You show up with your whole damn heart. You peel back layers like armor, hand over pieces you weren't even sure you owned. They asked you to be open, vulnerable, so you walked into the light, raw and exposed. And what do you find? Silence. A room that swallows your words like they never mattered. You thought loyalty would anchor you, but it's more like chains that shackle you to invisibility. Why does loyalty make us ghosts in the narrative? Shadows no one really sees. You stayed faithful, kept your word in a world built on options. So why does that weight drag you under instead of lifting you above? You gave everything you had to give, but your presence got lost in a forest thick with indifference. Everyone says men need to be emotionally available, but nobody tells you that being available might just erode the ground beneath your feet. Is it courage or foolishness when you keep opening doors, only to find they slam in your face? You bear your scars, the ones passed down like heirlooms from fathers who loved and failed, from betrayals that sing in your bloodline. You weren't meant to be enough, not in their eyes. And yet, the fire inside you refuses to be extinguished, even if the flames lick at your skin and leave you raw. How do you hold on to respect when it means drifting further into the loneliness that nobody warns you about? The more you root yourself in loyalty, the more you wonder if you're just carving out a hollow where you once stood tall. It's a cold irony. You give yourself with silent intensity, but when the echo doesn't come back, you face your hardest adversary. You, reflected in a still pond and wearing the face of abandonment. The world wants you to show feeling, but it never promised you'd be understood. You are the weight no one asked to carry, moving through a storm that never clears simply because you chose to stand firm. Loyalty isn't a shield. It's a crucible. And inside that fire, you start to find a truth sharper than betrayal, quieter than disappointment. Maybe this invisibility isn't punishment. It's a test of what you'll become when the noise finally dies. They never saw the fortress you built inside, and maybe that's because you weren't meant to be their possession. You were forged to be your own wild wolf, silent, steady, fierce. You walked through hell and never raised your voice. The hardest wound isn't the one carved by another's blade. It's the one you carry after you let their insults sink deep inside, twisting your own armor into rust. You think the world breaks you when it shouts or turns away, but the real fracture happens in your mind, the place where meaning is forged or shattered. Picture the storm-tested oak, standing alone on the ridge, its bark split and scarred, yet its roots sinking deeper, unseen but unyielding. It doesn't fight the storm. It doesn't glare at the rain or howl into the wind. It endures. That silence, that stillness, is a kind of victory no sword can claim. I watched a friend of mine who was chasing after everything: approval, connection, some fleeting proof he mattered. One day, he stopped. Just stopped. In that stillness, in the space where desire used to pulse like wildfire, he found something heavier, quieter. Strength not born from struggle, but from peace. Suddenly, he was the wolf, not the puppet of the chase. Men like you, like me, carry wounds from people who didn't know our weight or measure. But the insult has no power unless you hand it the blade. The world wants to knock you off balance, but your real victory lies in how you stand while it rages. The storm is inevitable, but the way you root yourself deeper, that is your choice. When you reframe the pain, when you stop feeding the insults with your mind's fire, you become that oak. Scars don't make you weak, they make you whole. Strength is not in avoiding the storm, but in standing unmoved while it shatters the horizon. That's where you find clarity. You don't need the world to see your value. First, you see it yourself. The battles outside are loud and meaningless without the steel inside. Root yourself deeper. Stand still. The storm will make you, but never break you. You have to learn to let go, not like a man who shirks responsibility, but like a warrior who understands the weight he carries doesn't come from what others think of him. Your worth isn't carved out by applause, nor shaped by the shifting winds of approval. It's forged deep inside, in the unbreakable core where silence meets steel. Detach from the outcome, because clinging to results is like gripping the edge of a blade. You'll bleed trying to hold what slips through your hands. A true man owns his effort, not the noise it makes in the world. Emotional control isn't about burying what you feel. It's about mastering it. The storm can rage inside you, thunder rising, but you don't throw your hat into the fire every time the wind changes direction. Your emotions are arrows. Feel the pull, weigh the flight, but don't shoot blindly at every shadow. This control is your armor, the shield that keeps you standing when everything around you wants to tear you apart. To be moved doesn't mean to be broken. Remember, the wolf doesn't howl at the moon to change it. He accepts it as part of the night. Your mission must be untouchable. Nothing outside your purpose deserves your time or sweat. Do not waste your marrow chasing prizes that don't feed your soul. There is power in focus, a cold fire that burns away distraction until only your path remains. This mission, your mission, marks the ground you claim in a world that's always trying to redraw the borders. You are not a man adrift for the currents of others' demands. You are the storm, relentless because your cause is clear. Solitude is no enemy. It is the forge where you become steel. In silence, you meet your true self without masks, without the clamor of the crowd. It is here, stripped of distraction, that you build the inner compass to navigate the tempests ahead. Depend on no man to hold your hand through the dark. Your strength lies in being a lone wolf, steady and unshaken. This solitude is sacred. It molds patience, sharpens clarity, and anchors your resolve when the world pulls at every thread you have. Stand firm like a mountain, redefined by storms, not moved by shaking hands. Honor yourself with a quiet force, above the cacophony of desires that seek to drown you. You do not chase validation because you recognize its futility. You carry your own weight, steady and exact. In this clarity, you will find a strange and brutal peace. Real strength is not loud. It echoes in silence you dare to keep. Reflect. Stand. Own the distance you've walked and keep walking, knowing the landscape belongs to the man who refuses to surrender. You are no longer the man lost at the eye of the storm, spun around by every gust of doubt, pain, and regret. You are the storm now, relentless, sure, a force carved from silence and steel. Every scar on your flesh, every ache in your bones isn't a wound to hide but the spear's tip shining through your armor. You've been shaped where it counts, deep inside, where no one sees but you. No longer do you need the noise of approval, the weight of excuses, or the comfort of others' validation. Your truths stand alone, fierce and unshakable, without explanation or apology. This isn't about being understood, it's about owning yourself so fully that your presence alone shifts the air around you. You don't chase storms anymore, you embody them. The calm you've forged is a wilderness of your making, harsh, pure, and unyielding. Here, in this silence, you hold the power that men used to whisper about but never dared claim. Silence reveals strength. This path is yours, unshared with ears unworthy, walked steady with purpose, clear as a blade's edge. You've moved through fire, not just to survive, but to become what few have the courage to admit, the quiet architect of their own destiny. Feel the weight of that. Own it. I lead in silence,